Hi everyone, the Mature Simmer here. So we're back here in spring, year 75, and getting ready to begin the work for planting. So I need to grab seeds and fertilizer. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And we'll be back here. We're just going to go ahead and continue our crop rotation by planting oats in these fields after the cotton that we had last year. I'm beginning my planting on 29 here. I've gotten the Seed Express full of seed, and the auger had fertilizer in it, so I didn't have to run up to do that. But the auger's on the tractor, Seed Express is on the Mack truck, so I'm operating that environment. You can see them off to the right that I did before, where I've got two vehicles to basically keep this moving along. I'll probably finish 29 and then head on over to 85, 86. But right now it's going along quite well. Not a lot of unique things, which is expected. But the sun's starting to come up here. And I'll continue moving along, certainly for a little bit, before I need to divert my attention elsewhere for some time. So some of what's occurred just in and around the channel and Farming Simulator specifically is I've been spending some of my time in FS22. There was actually a new map release, I would say the first map release I've come across that was truly for me of any consequence, because No Man's Land was released several days ago, and that's fine if you're doing survival and so forth, but to do survival effectively you need a lot more mods than we have now. So while you could still play No Man's Land, it wouldn't be the way it's typically played, I guess, is what I'd suggest. So I haven't done anything on that map yet. So there was a map from AFB Mapping, Hastings, North Dakota, that was released on Christmas Eve. The challenge, however, with FS22 is that we continue to chase a lot of bugs and basically try to figure out how to make the game playable. So I spent hours yesterday restarting and adjusting my mods in a couple different types of game scenarios to figure out what was causing some save game issues. And at this point I really don't know that I have an answer. I don't know if it's caused by the mods. I don't know if it's a Giants issue, because it just kind of comes and goes, which would lead me to think it's more a Giants issue than anything else. But you could go along and keep saving and everything would work great. And then you could go in and you could just try to save right after you opened, and it would crash, and basically it would corrupt your save. So I did learn yesterday how to find backup save games and move them over, thanks to the help of some folks in some chat rooms. So that was great, continuing to learn new things about how to work with Farming Simulator. That's certainly a thing I probably could have done without in my life, of knowing how to do, because I would just like the software to operate. So that helped a little bit, but because I'm trying to use auto drive there and I'm trying to harvest in some cases on the North Dakota map, because several of the fields I bought to start out with were already ready to be harvested. I've had to redo work, sometimes hours of work. So it wasn't as pleasant a day as it could be if I obviously had things moving along without any issues. So it just continues to focus on how stable and mature FS19 and the community surrounding it were, because at this point there are a lot of mods coming out with updates because modders are finding out with the new structure there's things that they didn't know about, so they're running into the same type of thing where they're having to learn new things they didn't know about. And I think even like that North Dakota map, before I came on here and started working, I see on the Facebook page where the modder is operating, they've already posted, or I'm sorry, in a Discord server that I happen to be on, they've posted that there's likely a version 2 coming out today on Christmas Day, because they've already found a bunch of things to improve it and improve frame rate and improve crashing and so forth. So we continue to have that, but it begs the question of how playable FS22 would be in FSN without any changes. I mean, you can play it base game, certainly, because it's built and all done by giants, but it just won't work, and it wouldn't be the same experience without any kind of mods. So it's definitely got me still totally unclear about when I would really feel ready to move to FS22, because the challenge here really is it's very difficult to reverse course. Like, once we sell everything off this map, they eliminate the map, because I think our plan is to repurpose this server to FS22. We'd have to basically go the other way, and honestly, I haven't seen any process in FSN to do that, because I'm assuming they're thinking nobody's going to want to go backwards. So I want to make sure we're in a spot, or at least I'm in a spot, that doesn't have to even be a consideration. But we're so far from that right now, I can't even begin to fathom when we may jump that hurdle, and that's just continues to be disappointing and frustrating, really a little bit of both together. Because one of the other quirks that has been going on that kind of came to light as I was playing and troubleshooting, and therefore searching Google and trying to see if anybody else had the same problem, is if you have any type of script mods. So for example, like GPS guidance steering that we're using right now would be a script mod that is available in FS22. Unlike FS19, when I exit this game and I quit, I go back to the menu. In FS22, unless it's just a vehicle mod or a building mod, you get dumped immediately to the desktop, which once again sounds wrong, but I don't know if the modders aren't in the same position. Like, is it something they're not aware of? Is it a bug in Giant's editor that as soon as they touch scripts, it's blowing up and bouncing you out? But then it makes it hard to wonder, well, is the save game issue that's happening related to that? Because I did not have the problem of saving. I wasn't able to have it occur if I just had vehicle and building mods in the game I was firing up. It really started to surface when I started to add scripts, but once again, then it kind of moved back and forth. And for a while I thought, oh, it's an auto drive problem, but then I had an instance where auto drive wasn't present and the game wouldn't save. And then I thought it was a power tools problem. And currently where I sat, as of where I got yesterday, and when I finally get to turn some attention back to it where I'll have to pick it up, is it may be a sim dashboard interface problem, or it may not be any of those problems. It may just truly be somewhat random, but just when scripts are loaded, it surfaces. It just certainly, with something like auto drive, it happened to be coming up a lot more. At least I thought it was when I had auto drive up, but the challenge is, now that I've discovered, well, power tools or sim dashboard may be it. Those are two mods that I've tended to, at this point, put in all of my FS22 games because they're just basic quality of life gameplay items that I use all the time, or would like to have the ability to use without having to exit and enable it and come back in. You know, power tool is less so than sim dashboard interface, but either way, we go back to the root of the issue. I don't have to consider those things in FS19 because at this point, it just works. That's not to say the process wasn't exactly the same in FS19 as what I'm experiencing in FS22. But then what Giants needs to always consider is, I as a player who enjoy the franchise, or at least enjoy this game, FS19, I'm going to step back, which in and of itself should be an indicator to Giants. I don't know that I like the franchise because I like a game in it right now because their new version I really don't enjoy. I spent all day when I had a day off work and some time to devote to things where I should have been able to make significant progress, where I probably spent 4 to 6 hours troubleshooting their software. So, you know, and it just makes you want to, at some point, throw up your hands and say, I'll just play something else. I'll do something different. And I'm honestly, unfortunately, starting to feel that way. So, those are the problems we've got with FS22. And certainly, I'm sure you can understand how they relate to making a decision in FSN. Because what if the save games like suddenly surface when you're on an FSN server? There's nothing we can do to really restart things. As players, we're having to go to staff. Staff's going to get overworked of trying to reset things, figure out what's going on. It's just a giant mess until it gets resolved. And the bigger challenge is I have a pretty good background in my career of troubleshooting, like, you know, software, hardware, computer problems, and I'm struggling to pinpoint what's happening, which likely means that most other people in the community will be as well, and we're just relying on someone finding what's going on. And so I'm assuming people who can look under the hood better than I can, whether they be modders or whether it be Giants in the core code, I'm hopeful they've got some more capability to look at things and see how things are behaving, and most importantly, hopefully try to find a way to recreate these things from what we're reporting and go from there. But I've been on boards where people are reporting they think it's auto drive and they're having the same problem, and I've been on threads where people are just saying, hey Giants, it's your issue, it's your last patch. So someone's going to have to figure it out. So I'll keep moving along here, and I'll see you in a little bit. Alright, so finishing up here on 98, and I will have everything done shortly. So, been kind of going straight through this morning, so it's taken me 5-6 hours at this point to get the work done, on and off. Trying to track the usage of things a little bit more, given my per acre calculations that I started last year, so that I'll be able to hopefully get some additional information from that. But nothing unique really has come up, just doing the work and getting these things done. So, whoops, a little bit of lag there. See the delay going red. It's actually been pretty good this morning and early afternoon, so it's not been too bad. And I'm sure we might, I don't know, I'm not sure if we might have more people on overall on the servers with Giants and Nitrado, or less, given that it's Christmas. I know there's only been one person that popped into the server here early in the morning. Again, Wild Moose Farms, the guy from Sweden, was on for a little bit, but they had folks over for Christmas, so he had to pop off and wasn't getting a lot of time, but might in the next few days, so he'll probably be catching up in later spring or early summer. But I've got the ability to work on this today, because just the state of the world as it is, we've got all of our plans were put on hold with COVID, so we're just waiting at home. So I'm just taking the opportunity to get the work done that I need to get done here on the farm, so that I don't have to worry about it. And then depending on what the rest of the day brings, I may make a further attempt at FS22 and the North Dakota series I started digging into yesterday. So but yeah, I continue to be hopeful that eventually we're going to have as much quality and stability with FS22 as we do with FS19, because certainly as I go back and forth between the two, I can definitely see the difference between a more mature instance of Farming Simulator and one that's basically going through growing pains again. But I'm hopeful that that will change sooner rather than later, because it would be great to be able to move forward and kind of not have to go back and forth between the two. I think I'll always pop back here and there sometimes to do something in FS20 or FS19 once in a while, but certainly if I had a game that was as stable as FS19 is on that side, there would be a lot less temptation to do that. So that's maybe my Christmas wish, that we're headed that way, hopefully soon, and that would be excellent. So I don't know how I missed this little piece. I thought I was really careful when I turned there, but either way. So we are all set. So at this point we're ranging from $299 to $488 per acre, so definitely quite a range depending on which field we're talking about. So definitely I'm hopeful with just the base results I'm starting to see from last year and this year that there's going to be some interesting knowledge gained from what's happening. So I'm going ahead at this point, obviously doing my normal cleanup of materials. The next step that we need on these fields is going to be herbicide, which will happen after first stage of growth, so could be as early as tomorrow, but not a huge rush there if I need to delay or choose to delay. There really isn't a need to delay it. It's the weekend in real time, so, and with the holiday weekend, I've certainly got the ability to kind of pick and choose over the next few days where I spend my time. So a lot will depend, I think, on what my experience ends up being with FS22 today or tomorrow, because if that goes better, I'm crossing my fingers and hopeful that at least I've maybe found the mix that allows me to save the game and I can make some actual progress. Because at this point, with the new map and just a few new things coming out, there's definitely a little bit more intrigue for me in FS22 about what I can make happen as far as a gameplay type situation, and will it be something that I enjoy versus the challenges I was having in the first week or so. So at this point, of the big items that I was really hopeful for that I use in single player, including a lot of things like auto drive and so forth that I can't use here in FSN, the only thing remaining really is course play and potentially enhanced vehicle, just to make it a little easier to shift direction, but enhanced vehicle is not a showstopper in any way. But course play certainly is, because even with what I'm doing on the North Dakota map with the size, if I could run fleets of harvesters and so forth, that would be great. So again, it would be a great multiplayer map, assuming everything worked similarly to what we are used to. But I don't have the multiplayer option right now, and it may not be the map that, or a type of map that we choose to do, because again, there is only one 16x map in FSN right now. I do think something that large is a challenge, so maybe if a 4x map comes out that is a little similar to it, or just exists, because right now there isn't anything that has come out other than that. I know there's a couple others I've heard of, but I think those are just standard size maps, so it would be nice to have some 4x maps come out that give us a little bit more space. So I'm hopeful for that. Gotta do our regular maintenance, top ourselves off here. So use quite a bit of fuel, and we'll clean up, get the seeder cleaned up. Really wasn't too bad seeding, but I definitely found myself thinking about 88 and 89 across the way again as I was working today, because there is definitely a temptation to kind of square things off and really own the full block down here. But I may then, if I do that, really be at the point that I probably would change out my seeder for something a little bit larger, now that money is less of a concern. So with that, I need to repair But I'm going to go ahead and I will keep cleaning up the farm. And I will see you next time.